to the E3 recap of the EA conference. It's our first recap episode here, and I have actually assembled my Anthem squad for this. So I'd like to introduce you guys to the squad. We have J Hobbs, the Colossus.
What's up? I get Colossus.
That's right.
Okay. Oh my god. Yeah, you're right. I do need to back up. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it suited you well there at the moment anyway. So I'm giving you the Colossus role.
Sounds good.
We also have Rename with us, who is the Storm. Rename, how are you?
Doing good. How is everybody doing out there? Oh god, let me back up.
Yeah, you got it. You might be the Colossus. I think we got 4 Colossi in that party.
Get way back.
Yeah. Well, that's our second member of the squad. We also have the Ranger Bonesaw. Bonesaw, how are you from afar?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to rock and ruin.
Right
Hey,
on.
I'm actually sitting quite nicely.
You are
here,
quite
right?
comfy. I think you've accomplished this better than the rest of us have. Anyway, I don't know.
Testing it out.
And anyway, I'm your Interceptor Golden. So there's our squad. The 4 of us here going to be talking to you guys about everything we saw in the EA conference today, and we're also simultaneously learning how Google Hangouts works and doesn't work. So it's going to be a bit of a joyride as we try to figure out how this works. But I want to start off right at the start by asking the most important question of the day, and that was this question right here.
How cool was that? I'm so hyped, you guys.
No.
How cool is that?
I'm so glad you have that clip because I wrote that down at the very end. I wrote that line down.
It's funny because I was sitting here and that immediately came on and my mom was sitting behind me and I was just like, Jesus, I hope this woman just gets off of the mic. And she was like, yep, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think they said it's her first time working at the EA conference, and obviously when you're working for somebody else, you got to have the enthusiasm, and I think there was just a touch of forced enthusiasm.
Just too
at
much.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go ahead and go right into it. So they talked about Battlefield 5 to start with, and kind of gave us what we all expected to hear. Battlefield 5 Royale. This is the year of Royale games at EA. Everybody called it. What do you guys think about what you saw of Battlefield 5?
The destructible environments were really cool, I thought. The fact that the tank, like, it doesn't stop when when it actually just hits the house. Now you can actually go through the house. That was really cool. I really like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I also, even before Battlefield 5, when they did that whole weird augmented reality thing, like that weird intro thing.
Oh yeah,
Going-
with the Anthem guys, right?
There's no way that played off well in the arena. Like how
That had to be one of those magic of television moments, right? Like if
I
you're
was
there,
wondering
you're not-
about that.
Yeah, you're not going to see that, but
I was wondering if they
Tupac
did.
trick with that, the Tupac monster trick. Is that what they pulled off there?
right, and it's like
Yeah.
they didn't even come back to it at all. Really, like it's not like they had some game that like oh we have an AR game on mobile that's going to tie into this really well or something. So that was really weird. So sorry to jump out of Battlefield 5.
no,
there
that's
for a
fine.
second,
No,
but that was
we
just so
jumped maybe a
funny.
little bit too far ahead there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of was surprised by that as well. I kind of thought there was going to be this kind of conference-wide theme where every game's going to jump out at you or something, and it's going to be like, this
That
is
would've been
EA. But no, it seemed like that was a one and done kind of a one-trick pony thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was weird. But for Battlefield 5, I mean, I think they were expecting applause at the game title for how long it showed, because they just sat on the game title for a while, and the guys walked out, and everyone's like, "Oh, were we supposed to give you a few claps and stuff for making another Battlefield game?"
I feel like this is another property of EA conferences in general. They expect applause where they don't get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it happened a lot actually. The
Yeah.
entire conference was filled with places where I think they were really, really pushing for applause, and it was just dead silence.
It was not. The crowd was not into it.
No.
At the Royale reveal, I don't know if all of your clips are from older E3s or not for this one, but I made a special note of the Royale reveal. It was lukewarm, and I heard some groans mixed with some scattered applause, but it definitely wasn't like an uproarious, yeah, another Royale game. It was like, ah!
Safe to say it wasn't well received. I think people were excited about if you're already a Battlefield fan and they add that in, then okay, I can see it. But I think there's kind of this general consensus that we all are going into this E3 expecting to hear Battle Royale all weekend long. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe there wasn't as much excitement there.
Yeah.
I will say, like, to their credit, I am not somebody who has given a single fuck about like the Battlefields or Call of Duties lately or anything like that. FPSs in general for me, not so much. But when they showed the little clip of like the multiplayer gameplay and stuff, aesthetically that looked awesome.
Did you see like the Northern Lights, right? Was that the part that you were talking about?
Yeah. Well, and when they like went all the way down to the field and stuff and just showed them,
yeah,
it didn't look like I'm standing still, I'm static, shooting my gun over the bunker, kind of like traditional, gameplay for these games. It was like a lot of moving around, and explosions seemed to have a nice, good effect on people, and specifically the terrain and the buildings and everything, like the snow just exploding when shit was happening. Like, it all looked beautiful.
Actually, I put a note down here because I thought that it was really something that one of their features that they had to talk about was the ability to smash through windows. And I was like, have you never played like Resident Evil 4? Like the very first part of that is Leon jumping out of a window.
I was trying to decide, is that a jab at some of the other Royale games? Because I know like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was kind of adding in these things, right? Like initially it didn't have a lot of these sort of interactables. And maybe that was sort of like a jab at them, like, hey, look, we can do this from day one.
We can jump through a window.
It's the small things that
I will say, why did they go to World War II? Like, it's not only has it just been so overdone in FPSs and stuff, but wasn't like the most recent Call of Duty a World War II or something? Like, why would you immediately go to that? That seemed odd to me.
I think it's just the most popular, what makes the most money, I guess. I guess that's all they go with, pretty much.
One other thing they mentioned too is that I kind of thought this was interesting. They had a kind of a point to say no loot boxes, no premium pass.
Oh, that's the buzz.
I think that got the biggest.
Oh yeah,
it got the biggest reaction from the crowd.
Yeah,
I wrote down loot box counter equals 1 because I like count even when they were saying that they weren't having loot boxes.
Yep. I think they said no loot boxes, no premium pass, and everybody just went wild over that. They had a bigger reaction to that instead of the actual game or jumping out of windows.
Yeah, we'll get into this a little bit later in the show too, but I kind of feel like this conference was an apology in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
especially on Star Wars part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to that as we talk about some of the other games too. But it does kind of feel like that's what they're going out of their way to say here is that, hey, look, we hear you. Okay, we get it. Maybe we're starting to learn a thing or two here. Overall, though, general thoughts on Battlefield 5? Were you impressed? Were you not impressed? Where did you kind of sit on that?
I was actually pretty impressed just by how it looked. I mean, I haven't played a Battlefield game since 2, I think, so I'm not super invested in it, but just like, I don't know, the game looked really good. I really like the snowy setting they used, and like that first shot when it's going in and you got like the mountainside with the subs like in the water there with the like snowy village going on. I don't know. It looks super cool to me. I don't know if I'll play it, but it looked really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played a single Battlefield game before, and I can almost guarantee I won't be getting this one just because it's just not my kind of game. But it looked fucking beautiful, and like Bonesaw brought up, like the destruction thing was really cool. The way the building was falling apart, like very dynamically based on how the tank hit it and everything. I thought that was really awesome. Really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I've been a fan of Battlefield a little bit, but none of the like next gen stuff. But definitely aesthetically, graphics wise, the game looks absolutely beautiful. The Northern Lights like dropping into that snowy battlefield there, I thought that was fantastic. And like the music that they put with that, it was dynamic. It was haunting almost. It was really, really cool. I don't know if I'll get it because it's not really for me. But definitely what impressed me the most was, again, what what J Hobbs is talking about. It was definitely that that level of destruction that you can have in the levels was so cool. The fact that the tank will not just rebound off of a house and you can hide from a tank in a wooden house. Now that tank is going to go through that living room and destroy that house no matter what. So yeah.
So how cool was that?
How cool was that?
Oh,
I'm
good.
so
My
hyped, you
ears
guys.
love that woman.
Oh my god, dude! Like,
Oh my
god, there is. I am so hype, you guys. Is probably the fastest way to explain to us exactly how not hype you are.
Yeah.
How much you're being paid to say how hype you are.
Oh god!
All right, let's move on. We got a lot of games to get through here. So next up, after we saw Battlefield 5, they went in as expected. Seems like we're kind of repeating things here. History repeats itself. We got FIFA. Yeah.
FIFA.
So FIFA 19.
Sports.
Yes, rise up, become a champion. The actual trophy was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to like end with Emerald having a tournament and you can have this trophy for a day with how much they were like talking up the trophy. I was like, dang, that might be cool, but he was just there, just hanging out.
The stage presenter seemed more enamored with the trophy than the game. Did you guys get
Yeah,
that sense?
yeah, he
I mean,
did.
he needed to take a moment to pause and reflect.
Yeah.
Did you notice how they kind of only moved? They would like barely move around the stage. So for a couple times, it looked like they were in a noir film. Like they were just walking like slowly up to the camera or something, addressing the audience. It was like, what's going on right now? I don't know why FIFA was the only one that did that for me.
They didn't want to get away from that trophy, man.
No, they didn't. Yeah, he was just like standing next to this trophy is just surreal. Well, how about talking about the surreal gaming experience I'm about to have instead? Like, isn't that why we're here?
Yeah. They mentioned as well that FIFA 18 is going to be a free trial. I wasn't really clear on this, what they were getting. Is it the whole game that you can play? Or they kind of made it seem like it's the whole game, but then they said it's a trial, so you're like limited. Couldn't quite understand what they were going for there, but maybe they're just letting you access the entire game for a certain period of time.
That's what it seemed like. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like a free weekend or something like that.
Interesting.
I definitely noticed some more like they were expecting applause, but there wasn't any.
Oh,
during
yeah.
FIFA 19. And when the guy said the quality bar in gameplay was raised yet again this year, I was just dying because I'm like, well, yeah, right. Like, why
Quality
else
bar
would
in
you
gameplay was raised yet again this year.
There they go.
You mean when he said this? Hold on.
Quality bar in gameplay was raised yet again this year.
The quality bar was raised high. I thought for sure we were going to get concrete examples of how the quality bar was raised, but instead we just got
Quality bar in gameplay was raised yet again this year.
That's FIFA 19.
Well, it's like,
just
why?
gameplay.
Why are you releasing a game in the series every single year if you're not going to try to raise the quality bar?
Yeah.
Like, what? What kind of stupid comment is that?
Can you give me an example of like what quality was raised? Because I mean, it's the same video game, but it's just like, okay, we're adding a few more pores onto the people's skin in the audience. That's about all we're really doing with it every year.
Yeah, I feel like one of the struggles that the EA had in this conference as well is actually following up with examples on a lot of the things that they were, like they would say, oh, we've raised the bar. The gameplay is new and refreshing. We only got 2 live demos.
Yeah, that's right.
Conference.
Yeah, we didn't get anything for that whole thing. I actually had notes written down about all the things that they said, and then nothing. There was just nothing about it.
Yeah.
Also, the woman who was presenting with the guy, like with the cup up there and everything, she like wiped her nose on stage at one point, didn't she? Like,
Was she?
Yeah, she straight up just like wiped her nose on stage. I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is you've probably been building to this for months, right? Like, what?
I don't know. Soccer time is when I was checking Twitter and stuff. I didn't notice that.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yeah. So,
Need to bring that back.
That's right.
Bring it back, man.
Now, what are your thoughts on the influencers that are like doing the mock World Cup demo? What is this? I'm having such a hard time understanding like why this is
what the streaming is a disruption part.
Yeah,
that I
how
mentioned?
subscriptions were a disruption. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word he was using.
Like,
Disruption.
what?
I thought he had like some beef at first, and then he started praising it. I was very
I know,
confused.
Yeah, what the hell?
I was like, do you realize that you're like streaming on Twitch right now? Why are you bad mouthing? Wait, you think that's a compliment? Disruption? What's going on? It was the weirdest.
All right, so we had Battlefield, we had FIFA, and then we get Andrew Wilson, and he comes out on stage, and the first 4 words out of his mouth after "Good morning," EA Sports, FIFA 19. I just thought this is so trademark Andrew. I don't know. Are you guys fans of Andrew? I love Andrew.
Big fan.
Big fan only because he gives me like a big old psychological profile of what I feel when I play video games right at the end of that conference, man.
This is like the first EA conference that I've actually paid any small amount of attention to. So I didn't even know.
Oh man, you got to come back for Andrew every year.
Yeah.
All right, so
I will now.
There you go. So he comes out on stage and he's talking about this Origin Access premiere. You're going to be able to stream all these games on multiple devices. And then I guess the starting games for it, Madden PC. I guess that's getting redone. They're bringing it back to PC, which got some applause. FIFA 19 is in there, Battlefield 5, Anthem. Then they talked about this vault of 100 or so games from EA.
Origin Access Premiere or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
Because he comes out and he's like, we love that we have a subscription service that you all love, and there's so many of you participating in. So now let me talk about our new subscription service that I'm not going to explain why.
Wait, wasn't subscriptions a disruption like half a minute ago? Like, where are we going with this here?
It's like it was kind of like the whole FIFA raise the bar gameplay thing. Like they said, okay, here's the Origin Access premiere, and we're kind of gonna tell you what it is. Like, how does it differ from stuff that already exists?
Yeah.
And I kind of noticed like all throughout. We commented on it before, but they made a big deal about like no loot boxes all throughout this. But then they also revealed this new subscription plan. I guess it's what it is. So I'm wondering if this is going to be their way to make that money back. I mean, like I said, we really have no idea what Origin Access Premiere is, but it sounds like just another subscription service where you're going to be paying
Quality
money
bar and
whatever.
gameplay was raised yet again this year.
Yeah, they're raising the subscription bar again this
They're
year.
raising the quality bar.
Yeah,
They
they're
got
replacing
you
loot boxes with
subscribing here,
subscription
now they're going to
maybe.
have you subscribing up here. They're raising the
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah.
The monetization bar was raised yet again this year, dude.
Mhm.
Honestly, did anybody, like, when you see Ronaldo in any of that FIFA 19 stuff, can anybody just see, like, the bust that was made of him? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? The person
No.
who made this bust of Ronaldo's face, and it's absolutely awful. I'm going to have to actually get a picture of this
There you
because...
go. You get a picture, share it in chat, and we'll have a better idea of what you're going for.
Yeah, I am not a soccer fan, so that whole FIFA 19 part where
Just
it was
doesn't
like,
land for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're not even going to show gameplay. Like, what's going on?
They always do this little bit too, where they like jab at other, like whatever team had a rough year. They're like, all right, England, so feeling a little bad. You guys, are you a little salty? Like, hey.
Yeah, there you go. I got it in the chat there if you want to look at it. But that's the only thing that I could think of throughout the entire FIFA performance was that. And that's a real thing
Oh
that
god.
you can see at an airport.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's the best.
So that's raising the quality bar right there.
The,
All
the
right.
other thing I noticed about the other thing is that like it seems that at some point over the past several years, every marketing team for like big AAA devs and stuff realized that esports is the way of the future, right? And so they latched on to like, oh, our games are already sports, so we're gonna push esports on them, even though nobody has seemed to notice except the crowd in that arena that sports game esports are like the worst esports out of like all other
they
games.
really- isn't
Yeah,
that
they
weird?
really are.
Isn't that weird? You would think, oh, like, okay, we got a sport, and now let's take it and make it an esport. And suddenly, like, those are, they're not popular at all. Nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute because I think we're jumping ahead here. But
Okay.
we did get plenty of sports as esports throughout the conference. But after we had the Origin Access discussion, we had a kind of a weird segment. I thought we jumped out into the crowd, and we stumbled upon, was Vince? Is his name Vince?
Vince, yeah.
Vince. Yeah. All right, we stumbled upon Vince, and he's just there enjoying the show, and then he says Jedi Fallen Order, and that's all we get. But
a rare name only reveal.
I was so worried that it was just going to be more awkward crowd interaction from the beginning of the show. Just randomly talk to that one guy who's just like, "Hi, I'm just here."
I think the absolute best.
You want to do it with me? Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, and he was trying to hype up the crowd and everything, and nobody was being responsive, and he was just sitting there.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. That's just I don't know.
It's just a name reveal. I mean, what else can you
got a name reveal? It kind of felt like, I mean, like the momentum, if there was any, and there really, I mean, at this point in the conference there wasn't. And now it's just like really tanking. So now we got to bring it back. And so
do I get to hold a lightsaber? Well, yeah. He said you play as a Jedi. That's what fucking Jedi do.
I will say this. I thought that the way that he responded to the questions was about as good as he could have done.
Probably.
Like if I just give one word answers, it'll be kind of funny and we can get through this.
And it'll be over sooner. Yeah.
There was actually a person in the chat who said they had this amazing comment, and it was a different name for this game, and they just called it Jedi Law and Order, which I thought was probably the best one. That'd be even better than Fallen Order, man. Yeah. I would play the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta get Ice Cube or Ice T, whoever it is, whichever one of them's in that.
All right, so we had the Jedi Fallen Order get mentioned, and then we go back to the stage for what I thought was actually really surprising that they did this. It was Battlefront 2, and the opening conversation was like,
"We didn't do good.
look, we screwed up. We know. We did it."
Well, but so that was something that really bugged me, was that they acknowledged their faults, but they didn't actually address them. Like, all he did was say, like, we didn't do very well on release. And that's all he said about it. Like, he didn't say, oh, this is, like, I guess he kind of said, we didn't do what you guys wanted or something like that. But he didn't really say, like, this is why we have changed this specific thing, because we got great feedback and now we're going to do better on all our games in the future. Like, he was just kind of like, yeah, no, it wasn't very profitable for us.
Yeah. They mentioned, I forget what he said. Like, they had whatever system was in place, like the skill cards or whatever. He said they were replacing those with various cosmetic options. It didn't really add up in my head. That was kind of weird, but I don't know. It was very apologetic.
I'm trying to picture this from a fan perspective of the game. Somebody who, was opposed to Battlefront 2 at the start, and does this buy me back into the game, or am I still peeved enough that I don't want to pursue it further? I feel like that's the part that they're lacking in, to me. I think that's kind of what you're getting at, J Hobbs. It just feels like, okay, well, we screwed up, but here's this other stuff in the game.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, so there were a couple issues with that to me. The first is that one of the things they mentioned as like we've got this now, was they said like a squad system, so you could like play with your friends. So what you're telling me is that for almost a year after release, you still don't have a way to make a group and play with your friends in a like online multiplayer game? That is ridiculous.
Quality bar and gameplay was raised yet again this year.
It's the theme of the event. They raised the quality bar. You couldn't play with friends before. Now you can play with your buds.
Yeah, but it's just like ridiculous. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to get everybody excited by bringing up the prequels. Like, I mean, maybe it is more exciting for like the big fans of the games and stuff. I don't know. But to me, I looked at that and I was just like, that's how you're going to win back everybody, are the prequels? And you're going to talk about 4, villains and heroes, and you're going to show us a picture of one of them. Like, why? Yeah. What? It was so confusing.
Same shit game, new old characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is also, I think, relevant here, so I think we should hear this as well.
I can assure you that plays as well as it looks.
There you go.
I don't know. It was a very awkward section, I think. A part of me kind of hopes that they recover from this because they have so much planned for it. I would hate for them to just waste so much of their time. The guy sounded like there was like 3 tiers of things they had releasing in the future. It's like pretty soon we have this, and then further on we have this, and then even further on we have this gargantuan world, the biggest map we've ever built. And I'm like, is it gonna matter? I mean, what's the player base looking like now? I don't know. I feel kind of bad for them, but at the same time, they did it to themselves. So hopefully it works out.
Yeah, if anything, I think it's a learning experience. But then on top of that, I mean, I do like that they went into some details about. I wish they would have had more concrete stuff to show and maybe kind of win people over. But they kind of went into some details about like, oh, we've got this new mode coming. You know, we're gonna have some of your favorite characters in. You know, like you're gonna get to play as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the crowd's like, yeah, and they're like, and you're gonna get to play as Anakin Skywalker, and the crowd's like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They backed up most of those examples with like one still image or the same 3 clips over and over and over again.
And they didn't even have pictures of the others. It was just of Grievous. I was like, what? This is not, it's not like you made a gameplay clip here. This is a picture. How can you not have a picture of the other 3 characters that are not new characters? Like, what?
Yeah, so I don't know, an interesting segment there where they were trying to find some balance between apology and proof that you should still buy the game. So I don't know, but then we moved into a game that I thought was probably my favorite game of the entire conference. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but we watched Unravel 2 get displayed, and the platforming in it looks really interesting. It kind of reminded me a lot of Kirby's Epic Yarn, actually.
Had anybody ever played the first? I've never even heard of Unravel.
No.
I've heard of it, but I'd never actually seen any gameplay of that game at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat there too.
Okay.
It did look cool though.
Yeah, it looked neat to me. The only thing is they didn't do a great job of explaining it while they were playing, which was a little weird because, like, again, I wasn't familiar at all with the mechanics, and some of it was pretty straightforward, but others were like, he'd say, oh, I'm going to catch you, and it didn't look like he did anything, so it was a little confusing. So I wanted to know kind of, you know, what put that, like, what being tied together by one piece of yarn, like, changes for that game. And other than, like, a couple swinging things, I feel like I didn't really get to see a lot of that. It still looked like a fun game, though, with a neat aesthetic and everything.
Yeah, I'd like to see I mean, I know it's our group here, so of course it'll come to my mind, but I'd like to see like a speedrun, a co-op speedrun of that game. That seems like it'd be really cool to watch.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought when I was watching the game. Was looking at the actual like speedrun potential of it would be a really, really fun watch, I think.
It almost looked like they were about to start, because you know how devs always end up effectively, you know, speeding through their first levels and stuff. It almost looked like they were starting to do that and kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah,
at the get-go.
Oh, did you see the debug menu at the beginning? Debug menu.
Like, oh, it wasn't set up, and you just clicked on it.
I appreciate that because I feel like that was proof that it was actually live.
Yeah,
know?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, and that, I mean, a huge props to them for being one of only 2 live demos in the whole thing. Like, that's,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this game killed it. I think that the demo was really good. Just, you know, started off as a single player thing, and then, you know, halfway through the demo, the other presenter goes over there to the couch and he picks up the controller, so you can see it's kind of seamless between 1 and 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
and then you know the fact that it's out today, you can get it. It's $20.
Play it now.
That was our first audible audience. Oh my god! Of
yeah.
The first actual physical proof that a video game from EA is here and you can play it.
It exists. I swear. You can
Raising
go
the
get it
quality
right
bar.
Quality bar and gameplay was raised yet again this year.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I wish they had shown some more mechanics and stuff, because they showed just like very basic platforming and a little bit of swinging. So like, I wish they had kind of shown that there's a lot more depth to the co-op stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to what looked like I'm going to distract you, walk around kind of gameplay, which I mean, it's probably not that, right? Like, they probably have a lot more into it. I just wish they had kind of shown some of that off.
I kind of think this is looking like one of those platformers that's intended to be more approachable than it is difficult. That's the vibe that I get from it. It kind of seems like it's going to be one of these, you know, co-op experiences that's not meant to be overwhelmingly difficult, but maybe it will be. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not the impression I got, though.
They certainly acted like they were worried about it being difficult, like the whole time. You know, they kept saying like, "Oh, phew, we got past that part." Like that was the scary portion, and I don't know, maybe it is a bit more difficult.
I don't know if this is a theme with the game, but was anybody like kind of taken out by the fact that there were like actual human beings in the background of the game?
Yeah, that was kind of, I don't know.
I
Maybe
felt that was kind of weird.
Story.
Were there?
Yeah, I
must
don't
not
know.
noticed that.
I've never seen the first game, so I don't know if that's a common theme or not, but I found that like the actual human beings that were like just sitting in the bush was like really, really weird. I don't know.
Yeah, they were like all foggy and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably play into the story.
It probably will, but
It's kind of weird to me. I don't know the diet of turkeys, but I don't know why that thing was so interested in eating yarn anyway. Like, is that a thing turkeys eat? Just yarn?
I just thought it was moving colored spaghetti, dude.
Yeah, true.
I thought the opening sequence was interesting. We get this trailer, and there's more realistic water than like Sea of Thieves, and the yarn guy falls out of the boat. They put a lot of effort in that trailer, and then the game is completely, I think unrelated to what we saw there.
I think that was also a common theme as well, was the fact that you kind of wish that the games were the same quality as the trailers.
Yeah.
That's every year though, right? Like it's
Yeah.
and I'm so sick of it. Like it's a good point to bring up. I had that written down later, I think, for Command and Conquer. But like
yeah,
it's just,
definitely. I had
yeah.
that written down.
All right. So overall, what impressions of Unravel 2? Is this a game that you're thinking about playing at some point?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to play the first one.
looks like a neat grab a buddy and play it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a one-day game, like if you can beat it fairly quickly. But
yeah, I agree. I do think that of the games that were shown today, that's one of them that's definitely up towards the top of my list anyway as well. So pretty cool. I don't think anybody would have said that going into this conference, but there it was. And then they kind of used that to transition into the EA originals, and they're saying, okay, well, Unravel 2 is a part of this. A Way Out was a part of it last year, and let's see.
Have you guys seen that before, by the way? A Way Out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who could forget who could forget the Game Awards?
I know I sound very cocky, but I can't help it because it's true.
Of course, you had a sound clip.
They acknowledged the meme of A Way Out specifically
That's right.
during this conference.
I know I sound very cocky, but I can't help it because it's true.
The A Way
I
Out
know I sound very cocky, but I can't help it because it's true.
A Way Out is a very cool movie that two people can play together. But
Yeah, so-
it's a really cool movie, but I feel like it seems like there's not a lot of gameplay to it. But whatever.
So anyway, they use that as a transition to this new game, Sea of Solitude. And
Ooh.
for a while at the start, I kind of felt like we were just going to get this boat floating in the middle
Yeah,
for
that's
the
what I
entire
thought.
presentation, and we were supposed to be wowed by this boat. And I don't know if it was maybe technical difficulties or they just were waiting for her to walk off the stage before they played the trailer, but we didn't really get a lot of perspective on this game other than, it's supposed to be a game about controlling your emotions, and we all feel lonely, so we can relate to this. And the description of it sounded really nice, but we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally we get this trailer at the end. And from what I saw of it, there was a lot of emotional back and forth. It looks like it has potential. I kind of wanted more, with as much as they kind of built it up as they're getting ready to bring this game out on the stage. Like, hey, we were wowed by this. And we had to pick this game up for EA Origins, or EA Originals rather. What did you guys think about Sea of Solitude, the little that we saw?
I wrote down, I have absolutely no idea what kind of game this is. That's what I got from that trailer, right? Like, it looks like maybe it's similar in the vein of like Limbo and what was the other one? Inside or something like that. The quote unquote sequel. It seemed like maybe it was in that where it's like kind of an adventure puzzle game, but that's mainly trying to tell a story through limited game mechanics and stuff. But I really don't know, right? That trailer didn't give us much. And this is almost not even really that related to the conference, but is it just me, or have there been a lot of ocean-based games over the last few years? Did that just randomly become a big theme that a lot of games wanted to try?
Yeah, I have my prediction that that's going to be the next big craze. And I thought this was going to be when they had that opening shot, I was like, oh god, another open sea game.
Right.
But it seemed a little more compact with what they showed. But like we've said before, maybe a gameplay trailer would have done a lot of justice to this.
Mm.
Yeah, that was definitely the one game out of that entire conference that I like. You're listening to her talk about the game and everything, and then you see the trailer, and then you're just like, okay, well, a gameplay demo definitely would have done that justice. That would have been the best part of that conference if it had just gone that extra step and had more content to show.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we got teased on this one, and we probably deserved a little bit more, just given the nature of how much effort they put into trying to sell it to us. It does feel like we missed something there. But that being said, I thought the art style looked really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see what they do with it. I'm assuming we're going to hear more. What do they say for this now? Early 2019 is the release. So
I believe so. Yeah.
So we're bound to hear something soon. In any case, well, then we had our annuals. I love this. We get to this is the best part of the whole.
The shortest segment in the
Madden.
whole thing.
Madden.
Yeah, there we go. Get your hold on. We got to get the big one in there too.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yeah, it's in the game. We get our annual. We get the NBA. We get the Madden, and they really rushed through this. They didn't want to. Let's not talk about the games. You guys know NBA. You know Madden. Let's talk about young Kiv. You guys all know him.
Oh, please! I'm gonna get angry.
I had no idea there were sports video games tournaments until today.
Yeah,
it's kind of shocking.
I loved that nobody gave a shit about any of the guys, and like they didn't give a crap about the pro player from the Steelers that came on stage or the pro player of Madden 18, and it was just like, oh man, I feel like a little bad for these two guys, but at the same time I feel like it's because it's not their fault, right? It's whoever was running the conference's fault that they would have even thought that everybody would be buying into this. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna just have an interview with the guy who won 18, do it after he wins that thing, where you've already got your audience that cares about that. It was really out of place, it seemed.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time interviewing somebody who had already won something a long time ago.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward. I mean, I get the venue, so it sort of makes sense. It was just sort of awkward to me that like a pro NFL player was interviewing this kid. It's like, so what was your journey like to get here? And it's like a pro NFL guy, and he's like, well, I played a lot of games. I lost a little bit, but I played a lot of games.
How cool was that?
Yeah.
I'm so hyped, you guys.
How cool was that? They had Juju Smith-Schuster on the stage. Come on.
I still can't believe they didn't even give a line to NBA Live. They were just like, clearly this is our least selling, one of all of them, because we're just going to give you this little trailer thing to let you know, yeah, we got another one coming, and that's it. And we're just going to go straight into Madden.
Now, if only they could do that for all their sports titles every year. Like, yeah, you guys know they're coming. There's another one.
20-minute long conference at that point, which wouldn't be bad.
They didn't even really talk about NFL 19, did they? Like, they literally just interviewed this kid, and for an interview that should have happened at whatever tournament he won. And then they just like showed another trailer that may have been gameplay, may have not been. I don't know. They didn't really talk about the new. I mean, I don't care about sports games, honestly.
The most we got out of it, I think, was that it's coming back to PC, which did get a reaction, and it seemed like a positive one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But that was earlier, right? Like, we didn't even get that during the Madden segment.
I agree. They really rushed through that segment there. They didn't want to talk about it.
I noticed a lot of, it was on all these sports ones, but I think it was on a couple of the ones. I forget the exact subtitle, but they used like in-game footage. They had that like subtitle on all like the movies they were playing. So even though it wasn't gameplay, I guess they were trying to pass it off. Like, it's still just game footage, but you're not going to get.
I can assure you that plays as well as it looks.
Yeah, pretty much that, just in subtext form. I noticed that was the thing during most of their videos, this conference.
Yeah, I definitely felt like there was a lack. I mean, we mentioned this. There's 2 games that had live demos, and then the rest of them were either pre-recorded or in-game footage, which I every time they put that on something, I don't buy it. You're not selling it to me. But anyway, we had so the esports thing happens, and a Juju takes the belt, and he runs behind the stage, and he's going to go back and claim it. outside at the venue. By the way, this venue, have you guys seen this venue? Were you watching this before the conference?
No.
A little bit.
I was watching a little bit.
All right,
I
so,
muted the shit out of that and just looked away.
yeah. So they have this like outdoor. It looks like a county fair, but it's all EA stuff. They just have these booths up, and they have. I have to give this. This is incredible. Let's listen to the description of the EA Access Lounge.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Outside. Listen to this.
We do have water. We also have power for your phone. But for our Access members, we have a special little gift for them. Spoiler, but it's a fanny pack full of awesome goodies.
Fanny packs filled with
Spoiler
goodies.
alert! It's a fanny pack.
Oh man.
Spoiler, but it's a fanny pack full of awesome goodies.
Yeah.
I want a leak of what the awesome goodies are, man. I'm Googling that right now.
What awesome goodies would you put in your fanny pack?
Well,
My
football.
Walkman.
It's probably all just copies of NBA Live 19. I mean, apparently they think they're going to have to just give them away.
Probably a season pass.
Do you think there's some Battlefront 2 content in there? Some premium content?
Could be.
Seems like an effective way to get the word out.
A loot box is in that fanny pack.
They don't have those anymore. They don't have.
Oh
those
yeah,
anymore.
that's right. They're
Quality
getting rid
bar
of
and
those.
gameplay was raised yet again
Forget
this
the
year.
quality bar was raised this year.
The quality bar is in that fanny pack.
The fanny packs are all going to be open so you can see exactly what you're going to get before you pick it up.
All right.
Oh my God.
So anyway, then we moved on to. I think we've reached a new low in esports. Everything is an esport. And I love the people involved in this. I love the series that this is supposed to involve. I didn't like this at all. We had a shoutcasted mobile game on the stream.
Oh my god, the mobile games.
Yeah. So that's Trihex's opinion on the whole thing.
Was this the first mobile game reveal at an E3? Mobile game
I
reveal?
was wondering about
No,
that too.
Can't be. There's no way. I feel like there have been too many big mobile games, right? Like,
Yeah, they've definitely shown mobile games in the past. I will say this is probably the first like shoutcasted mobile game.
Probably. I
Yeah.
would not doubt that.
maybe. I want to say somebody ran some Clash of Clans thing or something, though. Like, the mobile market is too big. And they always think it's going esports, right? I will say, like, this was the one game that, like, probably had the biggest mismatch between the, like, presentation that they gave and the actual game. Because I'm not a fan of mobile games, but if I were, like, that looked like one that would actually be somewhat interesting. But the presentation of it was so bad. Like props to the casters for trying their best and everything, you know, to try to explain a bunch of complicated things to people during a 2-minute segment that was all somehow still too long. But like, it was just the wrong way to go about pitching that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know really how you could sell this. Again, it was live gameplay, and this is the second game that we had that was live the entire time, but it was a mobile game. And I almost feel like it's another shot to the heart. Like, okay, here's a series that I have a fondness for. I remember like playing Command & Conquer when I was really young and really enjoying it, and then kind of watching the series more or less fall apart. And now we're bringing it back. You know, like it's here, and it's mobile. And I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was Command & Conquer until like it was 75% done.
They didn't say the title until after the match.
And
That was
ridiculous. I think that was on purpose because I thought we were supposed to kind of build up this hype of like recognizing it slowly through. Like he hinted in the middle of the game, he's like, "Oh, he's moving his GDI units," and I'm like, "Oh, so that's where we're going with this." Okay.
Maybe, but for those of us who just have like a tangential understanding of the existence of Command & Conquer, it's such a weird way to do it, right? Like, if I weren't watching it specifically so we could do the show, I probably would not have continued to watch that segment.
I really thought what they were going to end up doing is that they were building up this shoutcast and they're playing this mobile version of Command & Conquer, and then when that's over, they were going to bust out like, let's go to the real arena, and they have like another Command & Conquer game ready to go. I was let down. The mobile Command & Conquer experience doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, it looks fine, but it looks fine, you know?
Yeah, seems like any other strategy mobile game.
That's what I was thinking. It's so generic now. So.
The premise of it too. I mean, it seems like you're moving your units around the map and trying to gain control, but really it's just like this kind of tug of war of who has the missile pointing at them when the missile goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't understand also like the cooldown bar for the resources would like fill up slowly and then immediately refresh like halfway once it was halfway filled up or something. So I was like, what's going on there? Why are they on cooldown when they just come up at a random time?
All right, so when the missile goes off, this is the hypest moment of the match. Let's take a listen here. What please describe to me what your reaction was at that exact moment.
It's finally over.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, they tried, dude. Like they went out there and they were like, we're gonna do our best job of casting this game that we know. Because if you are those two guys, you know nobody's gonna be interested in this segment, right? Like you've gotta know. And they still tried to give the best attempt at it. So I give them props.
Yeah.
And I will give him props because I actually recognize some of the faces there, like Nathanius, StarCraft caster, In Control, StarCraft player. I do not know who Nick at Night is. I thought Nick at Night was the television network, but apparently it's also now a Command and Conquer Rivals player. So I have to do some research on him.
They introduced him as a mobile game specialist or something like that. It was a weird title, but I guess he's pretty big in the mobile game scene, apparently.
One other thing I thought too about this is that the layout sucked during this because they had a split screen and already you're using a very small amount of the screen, and they had the webcam on the left and they had the gameplay on the right. And even if I wanted to be interested in it, it was hard for me to see what was going on.
Well, they did that for like some of it, right? They bounced back and forth between like the full game and that view. And I feel like they were doing that to try to be like, look, it's live. Like it actually is live. But they didn't have a spectator mode in for the game or anything. So you were just seeing one person's screen. So it always looked like he was dominating the other player because of Fog of War and shit. So it was just like, that whole segment had so many things going against it to the point of I don't know why somebody green lighted it. Like, it's weird.
All right. Well, there we go. So Command and Conquer back from the ashes and now in mobile game form. So final question about that game. How many of you are downloading right now?
Oh, the alpha is out. That's right.
Dude, I thought about it. Like during it, I was sitting there going, man, should we get the real perspective on this one?
All right.
I think we got to try this after the show here. We got to find out.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
We'll see.
All right. So, okay, mobile games segment is over. They talk about the Play to Give program. They said $1 million to 3 different charities was given. I think they showed this last year as well during the conference.
That was the one time the crowd actually wanted to clap, and the guy was like, "No, they're not going to clap for charity." Like they didn't expect that applause.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting that they went out of their way to reference that, and then kind of acknowledge it. And the crowd, yeah, like you said, like they were trying to get into it, and they were trying to be like, "Hey, that's a good thing. Like you're doing good work." And he sort of just like stomped on it, like, yeah. And then we had the kind of big reveal of the conference. I feel like they had all their chips in one basket on this one. They really were going for Anthem, trying to sell us on that. What is your kind of initial impression of this game? Having kind of we took a deep dive now, so we all have a better understanding. What is your take?
I was invested last year, and I'm even more invested now. I'm all in on Anthem.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically about it are you drawn to?
I don't know, just probably the environments in general. Everything they showed about that looks really cool. And the biggest reveal for me during all of this was that, from what I can tell, there's no jetpack meter, so you can just jetpack forever.
I noticed that too.
That was the biggest reveal for me during this. But if like all those environments are mostly open world, that'd be cool. Like instead of just hubs where you go to underwater grass area and mountain area and then lake area, if it's more open world than that, I think that'll be pretty incredible. But I just really like the way the environments look and being able to jetpack around forever. Combat's fun looking. It seems like upgraded Destiny in my opinion. I never played too much Destiny in my days, but everyone says this is just like another Destiny clone or game or something like that. But since I haven't played too many of those, I don't know, it just seems like a really cool, fun, good-looking game to me.
Yeah, I think that's my concern with it is how does it distance itself from other games that are, similar to the Destinies, and some people were even saying like Warframe kind of follows a similar pattern. I think the like you mentioned, the graphic quality is an up a notch. The freedom of movement is definitely something they emphasized. They really wanted to point out like, hey, you can go through the water, you can fly. We got a ground game, and I felt like they kind of overemphasized, like they were really pushing, like, look, this one, like it's been like 30 seconds since you've seen water. Let's go in water right now, and remind you that you can do that.
Well, like 30. So I didn't know about Anthem. I had not heard about it or anything. So when they kept like hyping it at the beginning of this whole conference, I was just like, well, what's Anthem? Like, why don't? All right, I guess I'll wait. And still, like a third of the way through their deep dive, I still had no idea what kind of game it was. I was like, I think it's multiplayer, probably, almost certainly, and it's BioWare, so probably some story. I don't know. And then, like, finally, about a third of the way in or something, they showed the classes and they showed a little bit of gameplay and stuff. It took I actually kept track of this. It took 15 minutes into their promo to actually get like a decent sized clip of actual gameplay. It took that long.
Yeah, that was weird because they actually had the gameplay footage ready to go, and then at the start they kind of made it seem like, well, we don't really have any, like here's a still, here's early concept art.
Exactly. They kept showing that. And I didn't know what kind of game it was, but I could tell you for sure that if it was raining for you, it'd be raining for all the other players, because for some reason they brought that up like 3 times.
That's right. We all experienced the same weather together.
Mm-hmm. I do like that. As soon as I heard the customization thing, my mind immediately went to, microtransactions. And then the next question was them actually addressing that. It was like, so how is this being monetized? Because obviously it's going to be monetized. So I'm glad that they did at least go into that. And they said no loot boxes twice. So total of 3 on the loot box counter for the whole conference.
Did you see the tweet though? The tweets that they put up there, and one of them actually had like loot boxes in it, like mentioned loot boxes. Oh, and I was like, of course they took a tweet that had loot boxes in it because they had to get that out there that there would be no loot boxes, no microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really does feel like this is their flagship game going forward for this year. And even though so they've given a release date now, we have February 22nd, so it's half a year away, a little bit more than that. I don't know. As somebody who had no interest in buying it to begin with, watching the gameplay started to sell me a little bit more on it. I like the idea of you can keep it a single player experience if you want to. You can bust out a group of friends and go take on a mission if you want to. It does strike me as a very challenging aspect for this game to separate itself from Destiny. I don't know that it has to, because I think Destiny fans are probably going to buy this game too.
Probably.
But there maybe is that concern for some people that it's too similar.
The other thing for that one was they kept kind of bringing up how like their big thing was that they wanted to have a seamless storytelling experience so that you could still experience your story, but also play with friends, like, right away, like you didn't have to have, let me get to this end portion of the single player and then we'll go do a mission. It seemed like their whole point was have a seamless experience. And yet the only question that they got asked about how the storytelling would work was kind of dodged. It was really just answered with like you can play alone if you want, or you can play with other people. And it was like, well, that doesn't, is the story coming in the multiplayer missions or is it only in the single player stuff? I was really confused on that, especially since they were trying to hype that up as like this is why we're different. And it's BioWare, right? Like they've always been big on story stuff. So I'm curious. The game looks really like gorgeous. Like Rename was saying, like it looks fucking beautiful, all the environments and everything. I liked the little little detail of the suit having padding on the inside.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is it that easy to step into an exosuit? I feel like there was no effort whatsoever when we got the up close, the first person look, stepping into the suit. It looked like either there's some contortionism going on, or
I mean, sure,
but is there a back to it? I mean, that was pretty flawless, I thought.
That's what 3 Iron Man movies do for you, right? Like nowadays, everyone's just like, oh, that's how suits work. But I did like that they bothered having that little attention to detail of like, hey, yeah, you're gonna need padding inside there so that when you ram into something, you're not just like having metal pressed against your chest.
Yeah, I do think one other thing about this game that a lot of people in the chat were concerned about during the live gameplay, and I think reasonably so, is frame rate performance. You know, it did seem like there were some hiccups every now and then. This game is coming out on PC as well as the Xbox One and PS4, so presumably you won't see those issues as much on PC, but how does it play on a console? Something that I think is a valid question as well.
I mean, it's early footage, though.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather them show that gameplay, right, than just show the concept art because they didn't have the perfect 60 FPS working yet.
Yeah. I would feel it would be really, really cool to actually see, I don't know, some different parts or levels from that game, because I feel like what we watched this year was the exact same that we saw in the previous trailers. I think that was even the same place, wasn't it? Does anybody remember? Like the first time that they saw that, it was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah. The thing they showed last year, they definitely reshowed here. There was new stuff, like Golden was saying, especially the underwater stuff. They went into that a lot, which I was super into as well.
That was
really cool. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, they definitely revisited that's pretty much the same exact spot where they stood in the last trailer. They went to that same exact spot here too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like a selling point of this game is going to be the environments and how different each level has a potential to be, because I think that just looking at their concept art, you get this sense of they really want to make this world stand out. And I think they succeeded in showing that, I thought, even though it was the same level as before. I don't know, just the movement of itself, and when you get the HUD on the screen and you're in the actual action of it, it felt fluid to me. It looked good, and made me want to play it. So
it somehow looked pretty unique, despite following somewhat of an art style that I'll attribute to like Halo, for lack of a better example, I guess, where it's kind of like a big foresty, thing, but you have futuristic mechs. But like somehow it still had a feeling of like actually feeling really unique, which I thought was cool. Yeah, but I also didn't see the trailer last year, so.
All right. Any other thoughts on Anthem here? Do you guys want to mention anything else?
The sounds in that game are so good. I love the sounds in that game. All of the guns, like landing on the ground, flying in the air, going underwater, all of that stuff. It sounds like theater quality sound, like you get that bass, that oomph, like when you shoot the guns, when you land on something, like it's got thuds, everything. I think the sound design in that game is way cool.
Agreed.
Right. So overall, I think the reception of it was fairly positive here from the group. And like we said, February 22nd of next year, day before my half birthday, if anybody feels compelled to.
I have an interjection, by the way. Command and Conquer Rivals not actually available yet.
Whoa!
Yeah.
This is E3 recap first. You saw it here first.
Okay, well that's blurry. As all
a little blurry, but we got it.
Pre-register is what it said.
Not available. Unbelievable. All right. Well, that was the final game of the conference that was shown. Obviously, they're still doing stuff all day. I don't know. They had some sort of FIFA thing they were going to show, and I think they're doing like live gameplay and interviews throughout the afternoon here. I want to know, what was your expectation going into the EA conference, and were you satisfied? And maybe we'll start with Bonesaw.
My expectations for EA are always low, probably the lowest they could possibly be. And
how did they do?
Well, I don't know. The overall quality of the conference was better. Nobody was just standing there with dead air hoping to get beamed into the conference or anything. So that was good.
So wait, we didn't have this year? We didn't. This is a classic.
He just disabled a moving truck with a grenade while jumping off a horse. Incredible. But to be quite honest, since my expectations were so low, the actual games that we did get, the three that I had written down that were my favorites were Unravel 2, definitely Sea of Solitude, because that game looks beautiful, and Anthem, which of course was that was the big thing. So Actually, I feel quite satisfied. I think we're probably going to get 3 pretty good games anyway. You're going to get a whole lot of sports and maybe no loot boxes, maybe. So
All right.
I think it's good.
If you give them a letter grade, what would you give them?
B.
Solid B from Bonesaw. There we go.
That's high.
All right, J Hubs seems to be disagreeing. J Hubs, I want to hear from you now. What were your expectations going in, and how did they do?
Yeah, EA is probably always my lowest expectations. I usually skip the conference. I like care that little about them. It's like EA and Ubisoft for me. Those are the two. But Ubisoft has like the small chance of showing Rayman, so it's like okay. But for me, it's I don't know. Like I because they're so low. Like it's kind of what Bonesaw said. I still came out a little more positive, I guess. I kind of wish they had just done that deep dive thing that they did with Anthem, with Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude, and I don't know, maybe Command and Conquer, but like just done that as the entire conference. Like just do 3 or 4 of those segments, because everything else was just completely useless as far as I was concerned. Battlefield 5 looked pretty nice, but they still didn't they didn't show a lot of stuff for anything else. They just kind of acknowledged that it existed. So I don't know. I'd give him a C. But
C.
That's higher than the D to F expectation I was going in with.
Wait, so if I'm understanding this correctly,
The quality bar in gameplay was raised yet again this year.
It was, dude. It was raised yet again. Everyone knows that EA only ever raises their quality bar.
that's right. We gotta raise the bar from J Hubs there. The grade improving. They might even pass the class this year, so that's good. Rename. I'm gonna go to you now. What were your expectations before? And did they meet your expectations?
Pretty much the only thing I was anticipating and expecting out of this conference was more Anthem information, and I think we got enough of that. So I'm pretty overall pleased with the conference. I mean, sports games or whatever, I really don't pay them any mind at all anymore. But sort of reflecting what everybody else said, what was that? Sea of Solitude and Unravel 2. Those are 2 pretty good surprises. I wasn't expecting that. I was pretty much just expecting forgettable garbage, and then Battlefield 5, and then Anthem. But seeing those 2 was really cool. And I don't know, Battlefield 5, I'm sort of torn on it. It looks like a really good game. I have a couple friends that have been like into the series for a long time, and it's always fun talking to them about this because it's so different from what the other ones are. But I don't know. I may get into Battlefield 5 if they get into it. But I got a lot of Anthem info, and so I'm pretty happy with it overall.
All right. What's the letter grade you're giving them?
I'm just gonna go. I'll give it a B as well.
B as well.
B.
Oh.
All right. Yeah.
All right. B for Bonesaw. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I think the expectations for EA's conference, it's usually awkward, and they are always focused on things that aren't the games. And this year, I felt like we got a lot of the stuff we expected to see. It's like the usual sports games. Let's talk about Star Wars. But some of the stuff that was in there, I mean, like there were surprises. I felt like Unravel 2 was a good surprise. And then to drop the knowledge that it's already out, we can go play it. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like peaks and valleys for me. Like every time I was starting to feel it, it's like, here's Command and Conquer mobile game, shoutcasted. So I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think Anthem has potential. I think that what they sought to do was to sell you on Anthem, and I don't know that they blew anybody away, but the fact they spent more time on it and kind of show that that's what they're going for, I think they hit that objective. I would probably put them at about a B- as well. B- maybe.
Okay.
For me. But anyway, that was the EA conference. Let's see here. Do we want to take chat questions or do we want to just bail? What do you guys want to do?
That's a good question right there.
All right, we got a good question. Let's see. Am I going to do a normal stream today? No, I'm all in on E3. That's no, actually, we'll see. Let's keep that outside of this channel, though. Stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter. I don't know.
I'm really excited for the Microsoft conference tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of Ori and the Blind Forest, as anybody who has ever talked to me once knows, and I'm really hoping we see more about Ori too. So this honestly, just watching the EA one, I'd probably give them even a little more slack because it just started to get me a bit more excited for the rest of the conferences.
I do appreciate that they gave us EA its own day so that if it was just colossally bad, we could recover.
Drink your sorrows away or something. Like, yeah.
It's like, I can't take this anymore. I need a day. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that for now, and maybe in the future conferences we'll take chat questions at the end. Doesn't seem like we have a lot of chat questions anyway at the moment, so we'll leave it at that. Keep it nice and simple for today. Just a reminder that we are going to be doing these recap shows all week long. We'll be talking about, I believe, if we got the whole schedule up there for tomorrow, we got Microsoft, Bethesda, and Devolver.
Oh, I can't wait to watch Devolver.
Oh God, yeah.
Now note that I put conference in quotes for Devolver, so that's going to be loosely interpreted, I think.
How do you get over that, like last year's bar? Can you even do that? Is that possible for Devolver? Can they go over the top even more than they did?
I'm sure they'll find a way.
You see, the bar of quality will be raised.
Oh, this is a good question. All right, let's do this. I think this is a good one. MPG says, read or watch for information about this conference. Should I go back and watch the EA conference, or should I just read it?
Read it.
Yeah. Read about it and watch media if applicable.
All right, I like it. So skip the conference itself. It wasn't that. You're telling me you don't want people to tune in.
How cool was that?
You don't get
so
that kind of
hyped, you guys.
I hate her so much.
So hype, you guys. So hype. Definitely not dead inside.
You get to avoid that if you don't watch the press conference. That's incentive enough to not do that.
Are they going to have her back year after year now? Oh my God, I hope so.
Hopefully she's hosting every conference, right?
Yeah.
For Microsoft. And...
That'd be great. Be muted the entire time.
All right. Well, anyway, so yes, we'll be back tomorrow with some more conference recaps for E3. Hope you guys will join us for them. Hope this was fun. If you guys have feedback too, you can always let me know on Twitter or something, or just, I don't know, message me on my Discord or something. Let me know what you think of this format that we're doing, since we're just trying it for the first time. But yeah, we'll be back for some more E3 recaps tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of your E3 weekend if we don't see you, but hopefully we do. So let's see here. You guys want to say anything before we go? You good?
Bye.
Mute the stream whenever she talks.
Sports.
All right, well, I think we raised the bar here on the
quality bar and gameplay was raised yet again this year.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody.